Fulmer begins checking the machine, but he loses his temper when Baz accuses him of betraying the team for getting into a relationship with Rose, who is on the company's side and not theirs. Baz quickly apologizes, and when Fulmer lets go of him, he moves to pick something up and finds a dead seagull on the floor. Magnus and Lars are waiting at the base of the tower when suddenly they see Baz fall. Kat and Rose rush to the scene with a medical kit while Fulmer comes down as well, explaining he doesn't know what happened because Baz had been right behind him. Lars doesn't trust his story because he notices Baz's harness was unclipped. Kat takes Bax to the medical bay and stabilizes him, but there's nothing else she can do without a surgery room. Lars starts losing it because there's no way choppers will come in time. Rose brings Magnus to the computer to show him that the pipelines have no pressure, which means all the rigs in the area are having the same trouble as them. Moments later, Baz wakes up and begins having visions of things coming apart under the sea. Lars goes to Magnus' office to blame him for everything, but Magnus ignores the complaints and leaves. This allows Lars to snoop around his desk and found a private memo from the company that makes him furious. He gathers everyone on the helideck to inform them management has been lying to them from the start. Magnus comes over too and sees Lars has the memo, so he has to confess that the company's junking the whole field and everyone will lose their jobs soon. The conversation's suddenly interrupted by something falling on them. It's ash, even though they aren't anywhere near a volcano. Baz shows up at the helideck as well and announces that it's too late, it's already started before passing out. Later, Baz wakes up in the infirmary and explains he doesn't remember the accident or the helideck. At the tower, he saw something in the fog and heard a noise in his head. Baz reacts violently when Kat tries to take blood, and yells at them for not listening to his warnings because there's a wave coming. After Kat manages to put him to sleep, she explains to Rose that Baz's wounds are somehow quickly healing on their own. Once the women are gone, Baz reveals he's still awake, and when he checks his injuries, he sees some glowing spores working on closing them. In the rec room, the crew notices some lights by the window. It's the standby vessel, which is trying to communicate but also going in the wrong direction. Alwyn sends Lek outside to get the Morse message, and they discover the vessel's asking for help. Magnus orders Fulmer to sign back to them using the deck lights to find out what they know, then he goes to see Cook Merch to ask him to start rationing their food. Lars is starting to go crazy because he was locked up in his room with Easter guarding the door. In the infirmary, Baz wakes up again to notice most of his injuries are healed, and when he checks his reflection, he begins having a vision of the rig being destroyed. Then he escapes to his room, and while getting dressed, he begins wriggling in pain as his mouth pushes out his gold tooth. Rose gathers some ash to analyze it and orders everyone to stay inside. Fulmer informs her and Magnus that the vessel doesn't have more information than they do. They don't have communications either, so if they wait for morning to come, they won't be able to use the lights to guide them in and the boat could crash. If they evacuate, it should be now, but Rose doesn't want to because it could get them in legal trouble for breaking the contract. But Magnus' priority is everyone's safety, and he asks Fulmer to keep up the lights to guide the vessel slowly. Alwyn goes outside to take over Lek's shift and finds Baz drawing weird circles on a window. When he checks on him, Baz explains his head is full of noise and that he shouldn't have survived the accident. Something is definitely not normal about this situation. The lights in the room start flickering and Baz has another weird vision before running away. Lars starts working on the window and manages to take it off the wall to escape.